Raoul, what do you think are the three biggest day-to-day impacts of blockchain technology on people's lives in the next 5 to 10 years?
I honestly, within 5 to 10 years, I think it will be our digital identity, our store of value, our way, our digital method of ownership, our ownership of rights, IP rights. I think it'll spread to insurance contracts. It'll be the way you earn money, yield, the way you borrow, and how you identify yourself within the communities within which you live, these digital sovereign states. So apart from that, very little impact.
What is the single most important factor that will drive financial institutions to adopt crypto?
Price. It's simple. The price number go up, more get involved. And then after that is regulatory clarity, which is happening. We've just seen that, I think it was the SEC, not the SEC, I can't remember who the hell, has just said that they can hold crypto on their balance sheets, which allows them market-making functions and prime broking. So, people are like, well, they're not going to hold it on their balance sheet because of the risk weighting. It's not about having it as an asset on your balance sheet. It's about having it in your bloody prime brokerage and offering it to hedge funds.
J. Michael, we're hearing so much about the impending bull market and that it should last roughly 3 to 6 months. After that time, is the market expected to largely recede, or are we entering a time where technology will continue to push it ever upward?
It's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. Obviously, it's a very volatile asset class. It's a logarithmic. So you can have these 50% pullbacks within the same trend, much like Amazon, Apple, and stuff like that. There's also periods of Amazon and Apple that have gone sideways for 2 or 3 years after a 50% correction. It's something like that. I don't think the corrections will be as deep in the main protocols. In other stuff, it will be. It's a risk curve. It's what normal happens. My guess is either the corrections are shorter and sharper. Actually, I don't know. Shorter and sharper, or just shallower and longer, or none of the above. I don't know. It makes it really hard to navigate. But, I'm actually on the side setting up a fund of funds to exactly deal with this issue because it's impossible to know what to do.
Raoul, where do you get your crypto adoption statistics from?
Remy, Tito. Remy's my co-founder of Real Vision and also my macro analyst, runs a massive database that we have. And Remy builds out all these models. So he's the font of all knowledge.
Georgie A., how do you see the transition from a bank credit system with all its moving parts, credit bureaus, scores, stores, etc., to a collateralized or not crypto system like the one we are experiencing in DeFi right now?
It's a migration. Don't expect the lights to go on, lights go off. It's a migration. It just happens over time. So it's happening already. It's just not consumer friendly yet. I mean, I steer away from the space right now, but I think DeFi explodes in the next bear market or sideways market for crypto. Let's say crypto trades sideways for 2 years. We're all going to be staking, looking for yield, looking for opportunities to make money out of our coins over that period of time. So, and there are risks with that too, as there are with all yields and all returns. So we just have to navigate that world too. What's the risk? Half of us don't know. Stuff gets hacked, stuff gets, some of these protocols don't work in DeFi world because it's all experimental. Nobody's saying I've got the perfect solution here. It's as I said, one of the millions of economic experiments being run in real time.
Carl C. Hi, Raoul. Besides the ETH 2.0 transition, can you go into more depth about why you believe the crypto peak in this cycle will be Q1 or Q2 of 2022? Will hedge funds, institutions, sovereign wealth funds, etc., be the main catalyst for that?
Yeah, I think I covered this at the beginning of this interview. I think, yes, the change in the nature of the participants will change this. But we're going to get through a selling cycle first. A bunch of people need to pay a lot of tax bills. There's a bunch of people who need to reallocate their assets because crypto's gone up a lot. And there's a bunch of hedge funds who want to close their P&Ls for year end. So it's going to get volatile towards the end of the year. Everyone's going to call the end of the cycle. And then I think we're going to see a face-ripping rally.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
What is the biggest risk in crypto now that nobody is talking about? And what is the worst case scenario for crypto being regulated?
I don't think there's a worst case scenario. I think there's too much money, too many voters, too many people, And I've talked about this. There is a grand compromise will happen. And it'll be a new set of digital asset laws, and that'll be another fourth turning. That's moving away from securities laws, 1934. That's the previous turning where we had the world wars, and we're now going to a different one. So what is the risk? The risk is going to be a boom bust cycle. The risk is we get a ridiculous extended bubble in this cycle and then a collapse. Late entrants get hurt. It's that. I don't think there's any real risks to this whole thing. I just don't see it. I just don't see any of the FUD. Tether, solvable. Just go to a different stable coin. Regulation, just go to a different country. I just don't, there's no stopping this. There is no stopping this.
What effect will the Fed tapering have on crypto prices going forward, especially Bitcoin and Ether?
Over time, once the economy gets through a partial tightening, and reach its trend rate of growth, which I suspect is kind of 1% or so, my guess is there will be other assets that will start to perform that will get investments. And I think the exponential age stocks, for example, will do very well over time, and they will have a competition for crypto, and crypto will be just not the only game in town. So that's kind of how I think about it. A credit cycle, most people in the crypto markets aren't involved in the credit cycle so much. So it's not a credit market thing, but at the margin, it'll take hedge funds out, institutions out. So credit cycle, the business cycle still rules most things, but in these exponential adoption curves, it has a much lesser pronounced effect.
What our advice would be to a 25-year-old right now, what are you thinking about? What's your advice for a 25-year-old?
On that point, I've said it before, there's two zones. One is the comfort zone, and the other is where the magic happens. They don't overlap. That once you learn that lesson in life, the magic happens outside your comfort zone always. So for the 25-year-old, you have a massive advantage over all of us. Culture as an investment is something you grew up with. You will spot the trends, the cultural trends that you can get involved in, and you will make money from it. This is a different world. You don't have to be the guy who needs to understand stock markets or currencies or yield curves. You don't have to be that person anymore. You're liberated to say, I've seen this trend on TikTok and I think this is big, and you can be part of it because of the tokenization of the world or the NFTs. So you have an advantage over me, over Ash, over anybody. It's an incredible opportunity to rewrite the rules based around how you see the world. At 25 years old, you grew up in games. You grew up in a digital world. You understand digital value. Use your advantage. I think people now can understand what it is we're trying to do here. We're trying to understand this new world, the digital asset world, along with the macro world, because they are the same world. They're just different areas of it. It's important to understand the gold market, the industrial commodities market, the currency market, or the crypto market. I just think that the crypto markets offer the biggest catalyst of change and the biggest opportunity. I have no idea where this is actually going. So what you're doing when you're watching me do this, or you do this, Ash, and all of the people we invite, we're just learning. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out the world's biggest opportunity so nobody can say, I didn't know. We want to give everybody the tools, democratize that information, and allow people to participate in literally the biggest economic, cultural revolution the world has ever seen.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, You won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.